The sign-up sheet. Rachel, can you sign up somewhere? You got it. He ain't got it.
Angel,
okay, so Angel, you're gonna Angel, thank goodness you volunteered. You volunteered, right? I go, see that girl over there? She went to sleep. The figures I'm the one that does that. And then, so you're after Leslie. And then Captain Ron. Laura.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, we already. And then,
All right, give it up for Leslie one more time.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie. I work here at MAID.
You are all fancy tonight,
I actually, not sure what I'm going to say. After hearing everybody else, there were other things that came to mind besides what I had planned to talk about. Melissa's post is actually something she shared from my post. And Melissa is someone that I thought about when I read it the first time, because I had just met her at the Neptuna show a couple nights before that. I don't have a problem right here. I've done it once before, but when I'm in a crowd like that, I kind of shut down. And she was so friendly and just kind of didn't literally take my hand, but she included me in her conversations, and it was really awesome. So when she shared my post, I commented on hers and said, hey, you're actually the person I was thinking about when I posted this. I don't remember who I shared it from, but it's going viral. It's a lovely story, and it's something that I try to do with other people as well. So anyway, I wanted to put that out there. If anyone here knows Melissa, she's awesome, and if you don't, she does look like a mermaid, and if you meet her, you'll love her. I'm going to talk about my sexual abuse when I was 10, because I want anyone who's never talked about it to know that it's okay. Don't be ashamed. You didn't have anything to do with that. You didn't cause it. You didn't make that person want to do that to you. My mom's boyfriend, when I was 10, was someone that I looked up to. My parents were divorcing. He was like 6 foot something. My brother was 3 or 4, and he was that guy that would toss you in the air, and he was fun, and he was around. I'm not sure where that came from.
I'm sorry.
It's a good song.
where it's right next to you.
Okay, so anyway, this guy was fun, and I actually confessed tearfully to my mom one night that I wished he was my dad, because my dad was still halfway around the world. He was in the Navy. We were living in the Philippines when my parents split up. So this was back in Fresno, where I was born. I don't tell a lot of people that. It's Fresno. If you've ever been there, you understand. Don't be ashamed of Fresno.
No, be ashamed.
Right? Totally. So anyway, but my mom's family was there. So we were staying with my mom's family, and we had a house here in Long Beach that had tenants in it, and we were waiting for them to move out so we could move down here. So he drove a van. Surprise! Right?
I drive a van.
Hey, no, you know what? Exactly. It's Josh. Okay, anyway. I decided to drive down with him. The van was full of our belongings. And my mom drove down with my brother. And this was before the 99 thing. This was all 5 the whole way down. The 5 freeway. And he let me sit on his lap and drive. I always thought that was so awesome. And then he put his hands in my shirt. And this was a time that I didn't have breasts yet, but those little hard apple things, that's what I thought of. It was like there's something in there that's getting ready to grow. And if anyone's uncomfortable, that's what I want. I want you to be uncomfortable because it's not right what happened. And I don't want anyone to be ashamed of it. I couldn't say any of this out loud until about 8 years ago. So he put his hands on my shirt. He's playing around in there, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I couldn't go anywhere because the van was full of our stuff. There was nowhere for me to go. And of course, then he put his hands in my pants. And he put his hands on my vagina, in my vagina. There was a point where we pulled over to get gas, and I don't know if this is a manufactured memory or if it really happened, but I see my mom drive by, and I'm like, hey, come back and get me. I don't know if I really saw it or not, or if I was just hoping that I saw her. I don't remember anything after that on that drive. He stuck around for another year because, of course, I was ashamed. I wasn't going to tell anyone, especially my mom. She was so happy with him. And I grew up in domestic violence. My dad beat the shit out of my mom, and I saw it. So I knew how happy she was, and I was a codependent. I wanted her to be happy and at my expense. It was okay. So then he didn't really do that again, but he would tuck me into bed and just these gross little all over me. It was nasty. And it finally got to the point my mom was going to go to the store and he was going to be there with us. And I said, Mom, please don't go. And I told her what happened finally. I think I was probably 11 and a half by then, so it was about a good year and a half since it started. And she was devastated. And I was just thinking about this the other day. The only thing she could think of was to make him come apologize to me and leave. And that's what happened. He apologized. I don't even remember what he said. And I probably said, that's okay. Because, that's what we're raised to do. Whether your parents affirmatively say, hey, you have to say you're sorry at every turn or not. That's what we as females were raised to do. So I found out later that her wish at that moment was to cut him into 4 and just gut him. She was so angry and devastated. And then later in my life, I was hospitalized for depression, and that whole thing came out, and they wanted me to go to a survivors group, and I'm like, I'm over it, it's okay, whatever. But the reason I really didn't want to go to this group is they felt like I should be angry with my mom. Because I guess a lot of survivors of this sort of thing are angry with their mothers for letting it happen or whatever. I was never mad at her for this. It wasn't her fault. And I know now it wasn't my fault. She didn't enable him to do anything knowingly. So that's my story. I want people to be able to tell their stories and not be ashamed of it. One more thing, there is a van on Redondo. It's been there for years. Redondo, right past Vista, I think. And they move it for street sweeping. And it's this brown camper van with a higher top on it, and it says getaway van on it. And it's exactly the same color as this dude's van. And the first time I saw it, I lost it. I started crying. And then a couple years later, I saw it again. Well, I'd seen it in a couple of years, I started laughing. Well, that's the stupidest van I've ever seen. I know it just, it made me crazy, but I thought it was so appropriate. And then I made some art pieces from that. I took pictures of it and transferred them onto canvas with some other crap. And if anyone wants to see it, I'll give you my little website address. But it's pretty awesome, and I worked through it. But my poor mom, when she saw it, she cried a lot. Because I think she felt really responsible. But I never blamed her. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
You don't have to be quite so serious, but you're welcome to have the mic.
This is my first time here, and I haven't been on the mic for a while to talk about my experiences. We had a Latina Women's Conference for over 200 Latina women in September. We had a Spirit of Christmas event for over 200 homeless LGBTQ, and I just got up there and left because I wanted everybody else to take over and speak and just run the show. I just wanted to be the cleanup woman, be out there cleaning up and setting up everything. But Michelle Molina actually, what did you call it? You all told me to come up here? I am a transplant to Long Beach. I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. I was brought to Culver City when I was 5 years old, and I grew up there. I was raised in Culver City. And being raised in Culver City, I don't know if you all know, but Culver City has projects. Whenever I say projects, people are like, well, the Culver City, really? It's called the Mar Vista Gardens Housing Project, so it's fancy for the hood. I went to elementary. I started elementary in Culver City. My elementary school was directly in front of the projects. My mom became very good friends with this African American woman, beautiful woman, that became my mother, my adopted mother. Her name is Mama Tina. And we were to go to Mama Tina's every day after school because Mama Tina was going to babysit us. I grew up with little Tina, which is Mama Tina's daughter. And little Tina to this day knows perfect Spanish, thanks to our friendship. People would start talking about her in Spanish, and she would just wait until that moment where she would say, ¿Qué? ¿Qué estás diciendo de mí? And then she'd just go off in Spanish and shock everybody. I had great memories. I have great memories, and with light comes darkness as well. My dad was an alcoholic, a drug user, and a wife beater. And I grew up in a really horrible place where he was constantly beating my mother, and for some reason he just couldn't stand to see me because I looked and acted like my mother. Except I didn't let him abuse me or beat me up. I would always fight back or whatever. I'm gonna skip. We could do like more maid. What is it called? Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. And I love this place, so I'm going to be back. So I'm going to skip decades. So started in the school's called Stoner Avenue. Perfect name, right? Stoner. Next to the projects. I went through a lot of stuff growing up. 12 years old, I got jumped into a gang. And I have to tell you that it was the happiest moment of my life because I was bullied all my childhood. When I was jumped into a gang, I had a family who protected me from the bullies. So it was. You get beat up, but you get up and you dust yourself off, and you're so happy because now you belong to a family. You have a family. And to me, I was 12 years old, and it was almost like a given that I would end up becoming a gang member because my cousins were gang members. My brothers were gang members, so it was a given that I was going to grow up to be a gang member. did a lot of stuff that I'm not proud of today, and that's one of the reasons I work so hard to try to earn the wings, because I hurt a lot of people, and it doesn't feel good when you're by yourself at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and your homies are not patting you in the back telling you, man, that was great, that was great, you beat the shit out of that person, you know, you were down for yours. They're not there. The alcohol's not in your system, the drugs are not in your system, so you start, anybody who has a conscience starts hearing themselves and starts feeling like, that wasn't cool, man, it wasn't cool. So fast forward, did a lot of stuff. All of a sudden, after doing a lot of stuff, I find myself wanting to make a difference, and I no longer want to be part of doing that stuff. How do I get out? How do I tell these people who are my family that I no longer want to back up the hood? I want to be down for mine. I want to be down for the community. I want to be down for my mom. I want to be down for people who really have had my back. So